Hello, and welcome to Stovetop Investigations. This is a show where we take a dish, talk a bit about its history, and do what it takes to bring it to life. My name's Carmen. I'm behind the camera doing research. And that's Sarah, in front of the camera. She's our resident chef. Today, we're talking about a dish you probably know and love. It's customizable, it's all-in-one, it's swaddled together in a perfect little tortilla. And the version that you know and love? It was born in the US. Sort of. Let's talk about burritos. Behold, the humble burrito. Today, an easy grab-and-go meal in many forms. Breakfast burritos, Taco Bell burritos, sushi burritos, even the famous Tlahco from Kim Possible.
What are you eating?
Taco meets nacho. I call it the naco.
I call it gross beyond reason.
Do you want some?
Naco!
Certainly a cherished member of the American diet. But a question faces us. Just where exactly did this bundle of beans and rice come from? A quick note here. I am by no means a licensed food historian, so please go ahead and check out the links in the description to learn a bit more about this from people who know more about it than I do. Let's start at the beginning. All of what the burrito is today began with this, the corn tortilla. Aztec cuisine was centered around corn, and they did use tortillas to wrap up other foods like chili, squash, and other veggies. These flatbreads might have been the proto-taco. In fact, it's thought that this word, taco, came from the Nahuatl word for middle, Tlahco, since the food was placed in the middle of the tortilla. And if we're talking food cousins, the taco is just one extra fold away from being a burrito. When Spanish conquistadors came over, another distinction happened. The Spanish brought with them, along with measles and smallpox, wheat flour. Tacos are traditionally served in corn tortillas, but the burritos we know today are folded up in flour. In 1895, the Diccionario de Mexicanismos recorded an entry for one such burrito. It defines a burrito as, quote, a rolled tortilla with meat or other ingredients inside, called cosito in Yucatan and taco in the city of Cuernavaca and in Mexico City. We don't know where the burrito came to life. It could have been in Guanajuato, where the word burrito was recorded, or it could have been in Chihuahua, an area where wheat actually grows better than corn does. What I mean here is, we just don't know. In the 20th century, Mexican food started making its way into American cuisine. Burritos were a little late to the party, gaining popularity in the 1950s, but once they came over, they were here to stay. It's likely they started off as easy-to-package lunches for braceros, migrant workers. In 1956, Dwayne R. Roberts, inventor of the McDonald's frozen burger, made a frozen burrito, and the spread was unstoppable. Burritos soon became a staple of Southern Californian cuisine and established themselves in the Great American Menu. These burritos were still pretty simple. Rice, beans, and maybe a protein. The burrito we know today, a hefty little feast, was born in 1960s California. Popular legend traces it back to the El Faro restaurant in San Francisco. As the stories go, a herd of hungry firemen descended on the little corner restaurant. A chef whipped up a double burrito, slapped all the fixings in a flour tortilla, and voila, the Mission Burrito was born. The only thing left to do was for a lonely Midwesterner named Steve Ells to wander into the Mission, pick up a burrito, and plunk it back down on an assembly line feeding into his new restaurant. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Chipotle. And there we have it, the foil-plated, chock full of stuff, absolutely everything burrito that we know and love today. All right, let's get cooking. Today we're going to be making the most essential part of the burrito, and the thing that distinguishes the Mexican origin dish from its U.S. counterpart, the tortilla. We'll be making both corn and flour tortillas. Let's start with corn, and also with a disclaimer. If you are making corn tortillas, you need masa harina. You can find it at any Latin American or Hispanic grocery store. It's a very fine flour, or harina, of ground corn kernels soaked in lime water, which helps make it softer. Cornmeal is just ground up corn, so it doesn't hold that same softness. If you're really craving a tortilla and you sub in cornmeal, just know that it's going to end up really brittle. We'd know. Okay, back to the video. You're going to need about 2 cups masa harina, a teaspoon of kosher salt, and half a cup of fat, but you can use any oil that you want, and then 1/2 a cup of hot water. Mix the salt and harina together and add the fat. Beautiful. And mix that together. Once it's mostly mushed up, add the hot water. That's going to help bring everything together. Knead until you have a paste. You might have dry ingredients left over. You may have wet ingredients left over. Don't worry about it. Just kind of feel the dough out for yourself. You want it flaky, but able to roll out. Once you have that, ball up your dough and cover it with a towel to keep it from drying out. To make the flour tortilla, we're going to repeat the process. You're going to swap out 2 cups of masa harina for 2 cups of white flour and add in a teaspoon of baking powder. That's going to give the dough a little bit of a lift when you put it in the pan. Mix in the teaspoon of salt and make a well in the center of the bowl. Add in the fat, mix it up just like before, and add in the hot water. You might have leftover ingredients again. Once again, do not worry. And congrats! You have dough! So let's get to making tortillas. First, you're going to flatten your dough. Then, grab your rolling pin and get to work. For both flours, you want to get the dough thin enough that it drapes over your hand, but not so thin it breaks. This will be carrying precious cargo after all. And these are homemade, so the edges are going to look wacky. But if you're feeling very chef-like, like Sarah was, grab a plate, place it upside down, and cut around the edge. There you have it. It looks like it came off a conveyor belt. So, now that we have our beautiful tortillas, we're going to take them over to the stove. Heat up a large pan with some oil or, lard, and let that get hot, like oil sizzling hot. And then, carefully, and with parental supervision if necessary, lay your tortilla down and fry both sides. Frying it should only take a few seconds for each side. You're looking for a nice toast, not a burnt shell. How do you feel? You just made tortillas by hand, in a process that definitely didn't take longer than 3 minutes. Would it have been easier to buy them? Maybe. But now you know a little bit more about what goes into them. Okay, we are so close to actually eating these burritos, I promise. For assembly, get whatever ingredients you want. And first up, the mission burrito. Here we go. Heap it full of every fixing and topping available. You're going to want to put all this stuff in the lower third of the burrito, and you'll see why in a second. Stuff it full. Now, and Sarah's an expert in this, so don't take it too harsh if it doesn't go well. Carefully fold in both of the sides and roll the toppings, closer to you, up towards the top. The flour tortilla, with all that extra elasticity, bends to accommodate the literal meal you just put in it, and the construction lets you close up any seams with an extra layer of tortilla. We're just going to set that to the side for a second and grab our corn tortilla to make a burrito that you might find in Mexico. Keep in mind, burritos aren't all that popular in Mexico. In the north, they can be found at food stands, but the farther south you go, the more likely they are to just be tourist food. And since these are more of a quick grab-and-go meal, they usually just hold rice, beans, and maybe a bit of protein or cheese. Fold it up, and there you go. Now here's the thing. Burritos can come in corn or flour tortillas, but it's way more likely to find corn tortillas in Mexico where the dish is smaller. And let's show you why. Let's say you love the flavor of our corn tortilla and the flavor of the insides of a mission burrito, and we want to put those together. Great idea. But when we try and make it happen, the corn tortilla is grainier than the flour, and it can't bend to hold all that stuff in there. Congratulations! You just made 2 beautiful burritos, each with their own amazing flavors and textures, and each a beautiful, hearty meal on their own. The burrito is a dish with a storied past and an ever-changing future, a product of constant innovation on a tried-and-true dish, a lovely tortilla chock full of everything that you love. Thank you so much for tuning in to Stovetop Investigations, and we'll see you next time. Happy cooking!